Hi, welcome to Myers ASMR. How are you? Are you relaxed? Relax. I hope your day is going well. Hey, if you can want it, you can have it, but you've got to achieve the frequency of what you want. Yeah, if you can want it, you can have it, but you've got to achieve the frequency of what you want. Guess what? I achieved the frequency of this here catfish. Catfish. Oh my God. Fried it up myself. Even cut it up myself. Well, let's just get to it, right? Don't look at it. Just eat it. Look at that. This here. This is perfection. Perfection. Lord have mercy. Now for me, a good fish fry mix makes it even better. This one is from Zatarain's. Of course, I had to add a little extra to it. I dashed a little red pepper, a little garlic powder. I think it's been a couple of years since I had some catfish. Actually, no, that's not true. Maybe more than 6 months, maybe. Ain't that a beauty? Ain't that a beauty? And this was just done in a cast iron frying pan. I kept the flame fairly low for most of the time. Otherwise, you could burn your oil, and then you could burn the outside of the fish, but then the inside may not be the way you want it. So, just take your time. You don't need a high flame. Towards the end, I turned it up. It wasn't high, but I turned it up because I wanted my outside to get a little crispy. My family's from Can't you tell? I'm from up north. It's hard to break away to get to my kale. It's been a long time. This ain't hard to do, but I've been cooking a long time, for many years, so. Don't you just love the crispy bits? Crispy. A lot of people are put off by the name catfish, but I promise you, this is nothing like a cat, okay? I'm sure if you fed it to a cat, they would love it. But they would love any meat. When I fry fish, I open up all the windows because that thing is strong. It can get in your clothes. But I love fish so much. I'm like, I'll deal with it. It'll be all right. Just fresh, simple greens. The olive oil tastes good. We had a trial this week. Trials are the most fulfilling because I get to see more of the public. You know, the jury is very interesting. And I get to hear more of the stories, like what happened. judges. They want more trials. I'm not saying they want people to commit more crimes. I don't think they do. But of the trials that are out there, they want those trials to come to them, it seems. Yeah, it's just more interesting. Ooh. Well, I had a few more remaining pieces, so I went and got them. Some of them didn't come out perfectly, but I'm still going to eat them. The right fry mix makes a big difference. Admit it, don't you love to eat? Admit it. There's some parts of the fish, I don't know, it's got that funny texture. I don't know what that is, but I tend to avoid that bit. first came across catfish when I was a kid and we went to visit my aunt in Alabama. And as soon as we got to the house, she already had fish ready for us in the fryer. And she was frying it in the yard, outside in the yard. And we had never, well, at least us, we kids had never heard of it. And she was like, "This is catfish." We were like, "Catfish? No." Somebody was like, "You better taste that thing. This thing is good." I tasted that. Oh, I could not believe it. She had a fryer, so it got the right amount of crispiness, more so than like a cast iron pan can get. I had never tasted a fish so good in my life. So of course, every time we went down there, she would always have the catfish ready for us. And 'cause she knew we liked it. Yes, ma'am. I'm just savoring it. It's all gone. That's it. I only got 2 pieces. And I cut them up into strips. Chow. So those 2 pieces, the total came to about $10, maybe a little less. So that was reasonable. This is some leftover tea from work. I love when we don't have hearings every day because it gives us all a chance to just, catch up really and think straight. Make sure everything is scheduled and closed out. And just all the little odds and ends that can easily get overlooked if you're having like hearings all the time. I know what I want to do right now. I want to see what's happening with Gatsby, don't you? I'm proud of myself for getting almost to the end. The Great Gatsby. Ooh, I'm in the final pages. It's something like the book started really heating up towards the end. So let's see what's up. It was dawn now on Long Island, and we went about opening the rest of the windows downstairs. I'm just gonna pause. Like, I've been to Long Island a couple of times, but I've never been to the Hamptons. Never went that far out. So I would love to go to the Hamptons one of these days. It was dawn now on Long Island, and we went about opening the rest of the windows downstairs, filling the house with gold turning light. The shadow of a tree fell abruptly across the dew, and ghostly birds began to sing among the blue leaves. There was a slow, pleasant movement in the air scarcely a wind, promising a cool, lovely day. I don't think she ever loved him, Gatsby turned around from a window and looked at me challengingly. You must remember, old sport. She was very excited this afternoon. He told her those things in a way that frightened her, that made it look as if I was some kind of cheap sharper. And the result was, she hardly knew what she was saying. He sat down gloomily. Of course, she might have loved him just for a minute when they were first married, and loved me more even then, do you see? Suddenly, he came out with a curious remark. In any case, he said, it was just personal. What could you make of that except to suspect some intensity in his conception of the affair that couldn't be measured? He came back from France when Tom and Daisy were still on their wedding trip, and made a miserable but irresistible journey to Louisville on the last of his army pay. He stayed there a week, walking the streets where their footsteps had clicked together through the November night, and revisiting the out-of-the-way places to which they had driven in her white car. Just as Daisy's house had always seemed to him more mysterious and gay than other houses, so his idea of the city itself, even though she was gone from it, was pervaded with a melancholy beauty. He left feeling that if he had searched harder, he might have found her, that he was leaving her behind. The day coach, he was penniless now, was hot. He went out to the open vestibule and sat down on a folding chair, and the station slid away and the backs of unfamiliar buildings moved by. Then out into the spring fields where a yellow trolley raced them for a minute with people in it who might once have seen the pale magic of her face along the casual street. The track curved, and now it was going away from the sun, which as it sank lower seemed to spread itself in benediction over the vanishing city where she had drawn her breath. He stretched out his hand desperately, as if to snatch only a wisp of air, to save a fragment of the spot that she had made lovely for him. But it was all going by too fast now for his blurred eyes, and he knew that he had lost that part of it, the freshest and the best forever. It was 9 o'clock when we finished breakfast and went out on the porch. The night had made a sharp difference in the weather, and there was an autumn flavor in the air. The gardener, the last one of Gatsby's former servants, came to the foot of the steps. I'm going to drain the pool today, Mr. Gatsby. Leaves'll start falling pretty soon. And then there's always trouble with the pipes. Don't do it today, Gatsby answered. He turned to me apologetically. You know, old sport, I've never used that pool all summer. I looked at my watch and stood up. 12 minutes to my train. I didn't want to go to the city. I wasn't worth a decent stroke of work, but it was more than that. I didn't want to leave Gatsby. I missed that train, and then another, before I could get myself away. I'll call you up, I said finally. Do, old sport. I'll call you about noon. We walked slowly down the steps. I suppose Daisy'll call too. He looked at me anxiously as if he hoped I'd corroborate this. I suppose so. Well, goodbye. We shook hands and I started away. Just before I reached the hedge, I remembered something and turned around. They're a rotten crowd, I shouted across the lawn. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together. I've always been glad I said that. It was the only compliment I ever gave him. because I disapproved of him from beginning to end. First, he nodded politely, and then his face broke into that radiant and understanding smile, as if we'd been in ecstatic cahoots on that fact all the time. His gorgeous pink rag of a suit made a bright spot of color against the white steps, and I thought of the night when I first came to his ancestral home 3 months before. The lawn and drive had been crowded with the faces of those who guessed at his corruption, and he had stood on those steps, concealing his incorruptible dream as he waved them goodbye. I thanked him for his hospitality. We were always thanking him for that. I and the others. Goodbye, I called. I enjoyed breakfast. Gatsby. Excuse me, this is a good spot to stop. And I'll pick up with it later. You know, if you're interested in collaborating on some videos together, us helping out each other's social media, if you have any products or services you want me to review, just let me know. And remember that if you can want it, you can have it. Yeah, if you can want it, you can have it. But you've got to achieve the frequency of what you want. Yeah, you've got to achieve the frequency with it first. Hey, if you like what I'm doing here, like and subscribe. Donate to the cause. Catch me in the next video. And may you find lasting happiness. Bye.